We have already linked the albedo, parameter, and normal files to the branches mesh. What remains is to link the leaf and twig textures to their respective meshes. Let's start with Leaf Group 1 Summer. Open sugarmaple12.blend, and in the shading workspace, select the Summer Collection and Leaf Group 1 Summer Mesh. In the shader editor window, change the material name to Leaf Group 1.m.glass. Select the image texture node and drag it to the left. Disconnect the alpha input of the principled BSDF shader node. Add two more image nodes. Keyboard shortcut, select the Add menu, then Texture, and then Image Texture. Connect the output of the middle image node to the roughness input of the principled BSDF shader node. Connect the output of the bottom image node to the normal input of the principled BSDF shader node. Add a normal map node. Keyboard shortcut, select the Add menu, then Vector, then Normal Map. Place it in between the normal image node and the principled BSDF shader node. Import Leaf Group 1 Summer albedo file into the top image texture node. Import Leaf Group 1 Summer parameter file into the middle image texture node. Change the color space to non-color. Import Leaf Group 1 Summer normal file into the bottom image texture node. Change the color space to non-color. We now have our Leaf Group 1 mesh textured. Repeat the process for the other leaf groups and the twig group. Save your work. Save your Blender file as sugarmaple13.blend. Before applying levels of detail, let's clean up our Blender file. We are finished with the sapling image, so we can delete the image sapling 001 file and the aids collection. We can also check our meshes for unnecessary vertices. In the Layout workspace and Object mode, select the Summer Collection and the Leaf Group 1 mesh. Switch to Edit mode and Vertex Selection mode, and remove vertices. Keyboard shortcut, select All, the A key, select the Mesh menu, select Cleanup, then select Merge by Distance. Repeat the process for the remaining meshes. We will now create the levels of detail using N3V's Blender LODz Add-on. A link to the LODz Add-on is available in the description of this video. An explanation of the add-on is available in this YouTube video, Blender Export to Trainz. The LODz add-on adds a tab to the 3D Editor Window's Properties panel. In the outline window, select all of the meshes. Unhide the 3D Windows Properties panel and select the LODz tab. Set the number of LODz to 5, the decimate ratio to 0.5. Leave the offset at 0. Setting the offset to, say, 2 will line up the LODz in the 3D Editor window for easy comparison, but they are permanently moved. Note: save a copy of your Blender file before offsetting the LODz if you wish to do so. Check Apply Modifiers. Check Add LODz 0 suffix and make collections. Select Create LODz. Delete the empty collections. Save your work. Save your Blender file as sugarmaple14.blend. Recently, N3V Games released a number of utilities, one of which is the LODz Add-on we just used. Another Blender add-on, also released, is Super Batch Exporter. The released Trainz Content Utilities tool allows you to generate the config.txt file of a Trainz asset using the files formatted by the LODz add-on and exported by the Super Batch Exporter add-on. However, Trainz Content Utilities tool is not Mac compatible, so I'm not going to use the Super Batch Exporter add-on nor the Trainz Content Utilities tool here. Instead, we will export the individual FBX files for each mesh and compile the config.txt file manually. Before generating the FBX files, we can clean up the mesh names by removing the N at the end. Remove the N manually from the branches and the leaf group spring meshes. Then hide the groups. Now select all of the visible meshes and batch rename. Keyboard shortcut, select the Edit menu, select Batch Rename. Under Find, enter N, and select OK. Also, since all of the LOD3s are under 500 polys, we can delete LODz 4 and 5 for each mesh. Save your work. Save your Blender file as sugarmaple15.blend. Close Blender and open a new file. Append the branches meshes. Keyboard shortcut, select the File menu, select Append, open the sugarmaple15.blend file, open Objects, select Branches LOD 0, Branches LOD 1, Branches LOD 2, and Branches LOD 3 meshes, then select Append. Select twiggroup.001 and delete. Save the Blender file. Name it Temporary. Close the Blender file and reopen sugarmaple15.blend. Delete the branches meshes, then append the branches meshes from the temporary file. Before exporting the FBX file from Blender, I'm going to create a Trainz Asset file. I'm using Trainz Plus TRS-22 on a Mac, version 119458. Open Trainz and the Manage Content tab, and Today. Under the Development menu, select New Content. Open the new asset, keyboard shortcut, right mouse button, select Open, then select Open in Finder. Open the config.txt file. You will see two lines of code, the CUID number and the kind. Change the kind from unknown to scenery. We are now going to add the minimal amount of information needed to create the asset. Add a Trainz build 4.7. This will allow the asset to be used in Trainz TRS-19 SP2 and above. Add a username, SugarMaple01. Add a category class, FT. FT is the category class for trees. Add a mesh table LOD transition distance of 100. Note that adding the parentheses, or lack thereof, is important. We now need to add a thumbnail container. The container holds the name of the thumbnail file and its dimensions. You can create a temporary thumbnail in GIMP. Finally, we need to add a mesh table container. This is where we will add links to the FBX files. I have added the first one for the branches LOD3 mesh. Since I'm going to place the meshes in folders within the Trainz Asset folder, I've added the folder name separated from the file name by a backslash. In your SugarMaple15.blend file, hide all the meshes except the branches LOD3 mesh. Switch to the shading workspace and change the material to branches.m.pbr metal. In object mode, with the mesh selected, export an FBX file. Keyboard shortcut, select the File menu, select Export, select FBX, and select your FBX preset. The preset should set the parameters to Link to Selected Objects, Object Types, Mesh, Applying Scale, FBX All, Forward, Y Forward, and Up, Z Up. Name your file branches.lod3.fbx and select Export FBX. Import your branches.lod3 FBX file into your Trainz Asset folder. Add the texture files, branchesalbedo.tga, branchesparameter.tga, and branchesnormal.tga. Your folder should now have 6 files: the config file, the thumbnail file, branchesalbedo.tga, branchesparameter.tga, branchesnormal.tga, and the brancheslod3.fbx files. To keep things organized, place the texture files and the brancheslod3.fbx file into a folder called branches. Close the config.txt file and the asset folder and commit your changes. Keyboard shortcut, right mouse button, select the asset and select Submit Edits. If all goes well, the status will change from Open for Edit to Modified. Test your asset in Trainz just to be sure that it will open and appear as expected. I have found that on occasion, while the asset status indicates it has been modified successfully, when I import into Trainz, it changes to faulty. For this reason, I like to add the meshes one or a few at a time and check the asset in-game so I can identify which mesh is giving the problems. Having imported the first mesh, branches LODz, into the Trainz asset, continue to add the meshes, working backwards through the LODz. That is, do LOD3 before LOD2 and LOD2 before LOD1, etc. This way you can test and catch any problems with each mesh as you go. You will need to change the mesh table by adding a new set of entries for each LOD and adjust the code accordingly. We will also need to increase the number of the mesh table LOD transition distances incrementally as you add the first few new LOD levels. Note that LOD distances are separated by a comma. When you are finished adding the meshes, your config.txt file should look like this. A copy of this config.txt file, sugar maple config.txt01, is available in the description of this video. We are next going to add the twig meshes. Here we first need to remove the spaces in the mesh names, as Trainz will not accept spaces. In the outline window, select all of the meshes and remove the spaces. Keyboard shortcut, select the Edit menu, select Batch Rename, under Find, enter a space, and select OK. Unlike the branches, which we want to appear year-round, we only want the twigs, that is, branches without leaves, to appear in winter. For this, we need to add another tag in the mesh table entry, the mesh season tag. For the twigs group LOD03 mesh, the mesh table entry would look like this. A value of 0 equals summer, 1 equals fall, 2 equals winter, and 3 equals spring. We also need to add a Season-Seletor Container to our config.txt file, so we can link the season specified by the mesh season tag to the Trainz calendar. The Trainz calendar outputs dates from 0 to 1, where 0 is July 1st. Thus we can specify the 4 seasons using a season ranges tag. In Canada, a season ranges tag 0 to 0.25, July 1st to September 31st equals summer. A season ranges tag 0.25 to 0.5, October 1st to December 31st equals fall. A season ranges tag 0.5 to 0.75, January 1st to March 30th equals winter. A season tag of 0.75 to 1, April 1st to June 31st equals spring. The Season-Seletor container should look like this. From top to bottom, the Season-Seletor container asks Trainz to look for a season ranges tag with 0 to 0.25. If it finds the tag, branch true, it sets the season to 0, summer. If it does not see the tag, branch false, then it looks for a season tag with 0.25 to 0.5. If it finds the tag, branch true, it sets the season to 1, fall, and so on down to the end. Carry on creating the FBX files for the twigs meshes, setting the mesh season tag to 2. Set up folders for the spring, summer, and fall meshes. A copy of the Trainz Asset is available in the description of this video. Use the config.txt file to finish setting up your Trainz Asset.